start episodes with songs.
Yeah.
And we can't do that anymore because they always get, literally every time I
Copyright.
do it, Instagram like takes my post down.
Home.
They're just not a favorite. So that, I listen to that song. That's Space.
Yeah.
I listen to that
Something
song
corporate.
literally all the time at the gym. I love it.
I just listened to it this morning.
They're great. It's a good, I feel like it's a good shower song. Like one that you can sing in the shower.
Quiet place where you should be alone.
He has a weird voice, but awkwardly very musical.
Hey, give me space so I can breathe.
Should we just call this coronavirus episode? I don't know what to call it. Here's the thing. You'd like to think that the coronavirus has been played out, but it really hasn't because it's not over with yet.
No.
Still going strong. Now, some of the positives. Here's some of the positives that have happened. Recently, China's going back and starting production. The Apple facility opened back up. My dog's biting my hand. I'm about to ruin his life. So factories are open back up. Some of the Korean factories open back up. The amount of recoveries versus new cases over in China has reversed. Some of the other countries that were kind of plagued with a lot of outbreaks they're now kind of what I would call in remission. So there's a lot of positives to be derived. And I think I could say this, maybe not for the whole United States, but Ohio specifically put some pretty drastic measures in place to make sure that the spread of the virus is halted. And I think as a state, from what I can tell, I do the governor's update every day at 2:00. Seems to be going pretty good.
Yeah.
Seems to be not going too bad. So, well, there's entirely too many dogs in this fucking room right now, and I'm already getting mad about it. Dogs, leave. Go. Bye. Already driving me nuts. Bye, dogs.
Sometimes
Anyway, Jesus
when
Christ.
you run a kennel, that's basically what you have is a kennel.
Kind of. No, I have two really great obedient dogs who love each other, and one dog that pisses both of them off. Not even intentionally. He doesn't fuck with them at all. They just
don't like him.
Like, I don't know. I don't think it's that they don't like him. I think they're tolerating him at this point. You know how there's like the whole pack mentality? Like something has to happen for the pack to become a pack. Like Lily and Thomas have had that down for a very long time. They've created that bond over many, many years.
Yeah.
But they weren't like that at first. When I first got Tom, him and Lily didn't really get along either. So now you're introducing this third party to the pack. I'm pack leader, I'm alpha. And then I've got the other dogs. And then I've got this really obnoxiously large, goofy, oafy dog who is uncoordinated and is very much a puppy with tons of energy. So it's like they don't know what to do with themselves because they're older dogs and they've already been acclimated to each other for such a long time. Like we're disrupting their routine. And I think there's just a severe lack of tolerance for that. With like Lily specifically. So my female is the one that's like has no tolerance for him. She tries to herd him around. She bites him in the face and then runs off. She doesn't even stay and hang in the fight. You know what she's like? She's like a prisoner with a shank. Like, she just walks it behind you, jabs you in the fucking kidney, and walks away. Like that's how she acts around him. It's super strange, but he's a good boy. He's a good boy, and I'm hoping they give him a chance because he is a sweetheart. Just big and fucking goofy. I don't know. It's kind of like a kennel though. It's definitely it's getting kennel like, and I would never have more than 3 dogs in my house at one time. Like there's people who foster like they'll have their own 3 dogs and they'll foster like 4. They'll have like 7 total dogs.
Yeah.
I'm like, it is never. My patience level isn't high enough to do that.
Yeah, I thought about fostering birds.
Yeah, birds, you can manage birds for sure.
Yeah, they're loud.
Yeah, but you know, you can put a muzzle on a bird, I'm sure.
Well, I think the point of this is like you can foster them, but in these dark days, like if you can't get to the grocery store, you got basically free chicken.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of like if you have dogs.
Yeah. Right?
No, there's plenty. You know what's funny is like I went to the grocery the other day and there was the best part is I usually eat like during the week I eat super healthy. United States doesn't care about the healthy food section. Fully stocked. 100% stocked. Everything that was gone was the shit that you shouldn't eat. That's what everybody picked up. All the healthy food, Still there.
I literally, a day after the last recording, went into Kroger on the Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, John said he saw you there.
Yeah.
Which obviously you never mention things like this. He's like, your brother tell you I saw him at Kroger? I'm like, nope, definitely did not. He's like, I was there picking up food for my family for the next 3 weeks, and your brother was buying snacks. I'm like, sounds about right.
I totally was.
No care or concern for your long-term well-being. Let's just buy the fruit snacks.
I knew this shit was blowing over and people were getting paranoid because
I wouldn't say it's blown over, but it will blow over.
I literally was eavesdropping and talking to Kroger's employees, and like we were restocking literally tomorrow, and we're closing down early today.
Yeah, so they've been they restock every morning at like 6 or something like that, and then by 7 they're usually fully stocked. Like
and now Kroger's are pretty much back to normal.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah,
so it's like,
not.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, the problem is like with people, you get that herd mentality.
Yeah.
A guy, what did you tell me yesterday? Oh yeah, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Like fear of not being part of the clique or part of the gang. I think is why people make these rash decisions. That's why I've said people are smart, or a person is smart, people are dumb. It's the reality. It's that like gang mentality, that tribalism that just pierces everybody's soul when shit like this happens. Like one person was like, we need all the toilet paper, and then everyone's like, you're right, you know what, you're right, we definitely need we should just get all the toilet paper, so we're prepared, right?
Shit in a day.
Yeah, it's like,
I know I'm lactose intolerant, but I love cheese and milk.
I've bought no toilet paper.
I haven't either,
and I still have plenty of toilet paper.
I have plenty too.
Like if you were concerned at all about buying that much toilet paper, I would not go to Kroger and buy. I would seek medical attention.
Bro, I can get away without ever having to wipe half the time. All you do is you stand over your toilet and you spread your cheeks. It keeps it from getting on your ass cheeks. And that's all the problem is. That's all the reason you wipe.
Right, that's true. Yeah, you're not like digging.
Yeah.
You're not like fingering your asshole to like clear out your intestines.
Right. You're surface cleaning.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so as long as you keep your butt cheeks apart, I know it might feel uncomfortable. I know it might look weird to your spouse if she catches you doing it. But if you just hover, spread the cheeks, and take a shit, you won't have to wipe.
Hey, question.
Yeah.
What happened to your beard?
I cut it.
Oh, it looks terrible.
I look young, right?
You don't look good. What? Yeah, everybody liked the beard. Someone actually commented on it.
Bullshit.
I swear to God, someone sent a message and said, beard looks awesome. And I was like, well, that's Chris. That's not me. My mustache looks awesome. But this is 1 week. 1 week of coronavirus just being inside.
Hey.
But you know, the thing is like I'm on a ton of video calls. I bet I was on 20 plus video calls this week. And I still just look disheveled.
Listen, for every listener, if you donate 1 toilet paper roll to the Hot Ticket Cigar Faction, I will grow back this beard.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I don't think people are rationing off toilet paper right now.
For every roll, I will grow a 1/4 inch of my beard.
It's actually not a bad deal. You know, I was thinking about all these like cool, like we could do giveaway stuff and all that.
I can give away coronavirus.
Like one thing that I was going to do is like if somebody could guess how many cigars I had in my humidor, that I would like literally just...
The whole stock?
I'd give them a 20-pack.
Oh, I thought you were going to give them whole stock.
No, I wouldn't.
Like the M&Ms was like, how many M&Ms in here and you can win them all?
Yeah, for sure. Just trying to do creative stuff since everybody's going like stir crazy and shit. I know like there's a lot of Instagram live stuff going out right now, which is something that I may end up trying to do sometime soon because people have asked for it. They're like, when are you guys going to do an Instagram live? I'm like, dude, ain't nobody got time for that. Which the reality is I could find time for it.
You know what it is, and not to say I'm going to bash it, but this is the reality of cigar smoking on Instagram Live. All it is you're smoking a cigar. Other people are watching you probably smoke a cigar in themselves.
Yeah, it's got to be.
And then it's like, what are you smoking? Oh, I'm smoking this Davidoff.
Yeah, my thing is if you're gonna do it, you've got to put some intention around it.
And now you totally do.
Like if you're gonna put it out there, you need to have topical things to discuss. Like you need to be engaging and interactive. Like I just don't want to throw up a live just to throw up a live. Like it's just not. We're just not that way. It's just not who we are.
We could do improv for you.
That would be funny. What?
Stage improv.
What if we just dressed up? What if we just did a fucking puppet show?
Yeah.
That'd be great. Like some Muppet style shit.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Like old Victorian style. Like
Yeah,
just a
the old,
box
like-
with our hands coming up
It'd
behind
be
the box.
so funny. We could use this table as a prop. We could be underneath the table and film the whole thing live. That'd be fucking dope. We're never gonna make it through this podcast on time, I don't think. But
I don't think so either.
But yeah. So anyway, we do have a review today. We're gonna get into that later. One of the things Chris and I talked about yesterday was like, since everybody is essentially quarantined to their home except for all the fucking retards in Florida, dumbasses. Do you hear about that? Did you watch any of that? So there's, you have all these spring breakers. It's spring break time right now. And then you have all these really fucking retarded high school and college kids. They're like, you don't care about the coronavirus. Let's go to the beach. And then it's spreading like wildfire down there because you have all these assholes running around that just cannot be socially responsible at all. It's not in their fucking maturity level to be socially responsible. Horrible timing. So you have these dumbasses walking around, it's not even that bad. Like, we should be addressing the homeless epidemic in this country. Like, that's what I was like, dude, you're fucking retarded and I want to punch you in the face. No one's saying that shouldn't be addressed. Homelessness doesn't spread by coughing on someone else. I hate to tell you. Like, this is an issue which needs to be addressed, and you have all these wild teenagers running around willy-nilly in fucking Florida right now, just coughing on everybody and shitting in the water.
Do you want a little bit of advice, youngins?
They sure need it.
When you drink alcohol, it lowers your immune system.
That is true.
And when you lower your immune system...
I'm not going to lie. I don't think they care. I'm speculating. I don't think they care. And then, so then like on one of the beaches, the police officer had to get forceful with people because they just refused to leave. They're like, you can't be here. Like, there are protocols they're putting in place. And of course you get these young spring breakers who are like, fuck the police. And this police officer comes out of nowhere and fucking bear tackles this dude. I was like, holy shit. And here we go. And this is what I was afraid of. Now, hopefully this is just going to be an isolated incident. And I'm sure there's some other things that are happening. Like, because, people just get out of control and crazy when situations like this occur. Yeah. I'm hoping it's isolated these dumb fucking retards in Florida. But it's something that has concerned certain people as far as like, well, when does like mayhem and anarchy take over in a situation like this? Especially if you're quarantined to your home, people kind of get stir crazy and they go, fuck the government, I make my own decisions. It's like, okay, settle down. Like, this is probably the only time where I felt the government has made a decision. Honestly, this is going to sound terrible, but I feel like it's one of the only times the government has made a decision on behalf of the people that actually makes sense. For the majority of it, the government is not acting on behalf of the people. They're not a voice for the people. I think the intervention in this particular situation, the government, in my opinion, has gotten it right. Which is hard for me to say, but I feel like it is the truth, and I've got to give kudos even to like Governor DeWine in Ohio. Like, again, I watch and keep updated every single day. Has made some very difficult fucking decisions.
Martial law people
with businesses and all this stuff going on, and it's like, dude, if we didn't do this, who knows how bad this thing could have gotten? And it could have drawn out. The economic conditions could have been played out way longer if this were exacerbated. So it's like, to make that decision, although it's very, very difficult for someone to make, it's like, I'm glad he just made a fucking decision and we're sticking to it.
I agree.
But also, be cool to one another, man. Just be dope neighbors, be fun people, interact. We did a thing yesterday at work. 4:30, we did like a Zoom happy hour. And there was like 15 people just on like our central region call, and everybody was having a blast. We did it from 4:30 to 5:30. Everybody was drinking. I was drinking bourbon, and we all just fucking chilled and talked because we don't get that social. I mean, I'm used to working from remotely, but a lot of people aren't, and it was a cool thing to do. It's like, dude, use technology to your advantage. You can still interact with people. You can still do things. You can have fun. You can find things to do, which, by the way, is a nice little segue into a topic we want to discuss today, and that is, what do you do when you're quarantined?
Oh, that's a great question, Cory.
I will tell you this. I came up with my top 10 and actually put something out there, and I did it kind of late last night, so I didn't really get a ton of feedback from people, but I got some feedback, and any other feedback that I get throughout the day after this podcast is produced, I'll make sure I put it on social media. So before I get into what other people suggested, I want to give just a suggestion of the things that I felt you could do at home, even by yourself. Maybe your wife's at home, maybe your kid's at home, but they're sleeping. You're living a life of seclusion probably for the next few weeks. So what are some fun things that you can do that are engaging just for yourself? These are in no really particular order. I haven't ranked these 10, so they're just 10 that I put down there. But I think it's important, like, for one, given who we are and our background, drinking cigars or drinking cigars and smoking bourbon. Smoking cigars and drinking bourbon has been one of the things that I've done that really chills me out. In terms of, like, sitting inside all day, being quarantined into your own home, like, where can you give yourself an outlet? Smoking and drinking is by far my favorite thing to do. Those two things together.
If you have a wife that doesn't like you smoking in the house, you have the perfect excuse now to smoke your beloved cigars indoors.
That is true. I've been trying to sell that point for, I'd say, the last month, and have been very unsuccessful in my attempts. But one of these days, she's going to crack.
You know what I always say, Cory? That at least when I smoke a cigar and I have the coronavirus, you can dodge my smoke.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you can visibly see where it's traveling.
You blow smoke in someone's face, and they're like, so, whoa, shit, it's in it. So that would be I would actually probably rank that my number one.
Okay,
because it's what I do more often.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I had second one on here, Spankathon. Now, this is one that I have participated in many, many times in the past when I am home alone. And that is simply see how many times you can jerk off before you can't jerk off anymore.
Yeah.
It hurts a little bit. When you get to number 6, number 7, it starts to become more painful and less actually, really, after number 1, it becomes more pain than pleasure. But really, the reason I say this is not only does it take up a considerable amount of time, but it really shows your strength and will to persevere. I'm telling you, once you get to like number 4 and number 5, you feel like you can't go anymore. But if you dig deep down, if you David Goggins this shit, you'll be good. You'll at least make it to 7.
They've always said that masturbation can prevent prostate cancer in men. Why can't it prevent coronavirus?
That's true.
You know?
I actually agree with the medical logic around that.
Yeah.
Number 3, kind of similar, but not really similar. I do this as a bedtime activity, and that is take an Ambien and then try to rub one off before you fall asleep. That's a real fun game to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sleepy dribbles are
Sleepy dribbles.
I'll tell you what, it leaves a little time for cleanup.
That's true.
But it is fun nonetheless.
Well, you basically just glue yourself to your bed.
Essentially. Just shirt stuck to your stomach. You're like, what? You wake up, you're like, what?
What happened?
Reminds me of like eating paste as a child. This, again, no in particular order. I'm going to use this one next. Debate yourself. This is a fun activity. I've done this before. That's why I put it on here. I've literally done this before, where I'll have a conversation in my head about like something topical that is that has arguments to both sides, and I'll literally argue both sides to myself and try to win against myself. It's like playing pong against yourself.
Playing chess against yourself.
Yeah, it is. Like and it's actually kind of fun because one of the things, and this is going to sound, I mean, these are funny and it's meant to be funny, but this is more serious. Like, one of the reasons I've always been pretty good at arguing, like, it's weird how many people tell me I should be a lawyer, is simply because I seek to understand both sides of things. I'm never turned off by another position. Understanding another position only makes it easier for me to challenge that position if I know it intimately, right? Yeah. So I can literally position myself against other things if I have a better understanding of them. So I literally will debate myself on stuff actually pretty often, especially if it's something that's controversial or there really is two sides to a story. I will literally, and I'm dealing with a situation right now that I'm actually kind of doing that in. But I've done that before, just sitting down like, you know what? Yeah. What about this thing? And start thinking about the other side to a story, flip the coin a little bit. It's actually kind of a fun activity to do. This is an interesting one. This is one that I have not done, but that I want to do, and that is put a diaper on myself and see if I can crap. Here's the reason I say this. I know it sounds weird, but I think as an adult, your shits are not involuntary. They're voluntary. I don't know if we have the ability to actually shit in a diaper if it's on us.
Well, the reality is, Cory, people 65 and older have an increased chance of incontinence. So I think what you do here is you start to think like someone in their late 60s,
Like you can't help yourself.
70s. Like, oh, I can't help
Or
it.
like a little baby.
I know I shouldn't have that chili.
You just put yourself on your back and you go, I'm
Oh,
a little
I know it.
baby. I'm a little baby. Just start. Then you can do it. Then you expel everything in your body. I think, though, correct me if I'm wrong, do you not think it would be challenging walking around as an everyday adult with a diaper on and actually forcibly shitting yourself? I think it's an unnatural reaction within us.
Yeah, because to me, it's such an unclean thing as an adult
Right.
that the idea of getting shit on my ass is like really a disgusting notion.
Yeah, it is. It definitely. And so that's what I mean is like.
So my body's going to be like, I'm going to do everything I possibly can not to make that happen.
Now, I think pissing yourself,
I
yeah,
could do
you can
that.
for sure do
I
that.
could
But I
do
feel
that.
like your body would do that tense up thing and just be like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
You ever stood in the shower and just like point your wiener upward and see if you can catch it in your mouth?
No, but I remember one time taking a bath. I remember one time taking a bath and I like flexed my abs and I peed and it like literally shot at my face. That was not that long ago. That was actually maybe 6 months ago that happened. I was like, Jesus.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: as you get older, and we've talked about this on the show. The dribbles happen more and
Yeah.
more. Like the involuntary pee happens
Yeah.
more and more. Things aren't as tight as they used to be. So I literally I remember what it was. I went to sit up in my bath, and you've seen my bathtub.
Yeah.
I went to sit up in my bathtub, and as I kind of pulled myself up, everything tightened in my core, and my wiener's pointed right at my face. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like a sniper rifle in the weeds. And literally, I tensed up and just went, whew, like this one little stream. It didn't get my face, but it like ended up on my chest. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Very weird. Here's another one I want to try and I haven't tried, but I think it would be cool if you could try it. So I'd be curious if anybody who's listening to this episode tries this for a day. I'd be curious to see what the results are. It's eat food with no utensils or your hands for an entire day.
That would be tricky.
I think it would be tricky. Imagine eating a bowl of soup.
The virus took my limbs.
You literally have to just dive face first into all your food. I think it would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is just kind of a blanket one, but then I make it a little bit more detailed, and that is explore yourself. Look at your own asshole in the mirror. I'm sure most people who are listening to this have never seen their own asshole. I would challenge you to just straddle up, pull your fucking cheeks apart, and look at your little brown, and just get to know yourself a little bit better.
Not to mention, you can't really get a doctor's appointment unless you're practically dying at this point. So
True.
Why don't you take that time to explore yourself further, explore your skin. Look at those weird moles you have on your back and make sure they're not cancerous. So that by the time you're ready to go back to the doctor, you already have a list of all the potential cancer risks that you might have on your body.
That's true. I think that's actually good. It's literally a self-administered physical.
Yeah.
In particular, making sure that your asshole's clean and free of any sort of
That's
infection
true.
or bacteria.
I can't look at my asshole.
Have you looked at your asshole before?
Yeah.
I definitely have.
Yeah. I
haven't looked at your asshole. I've looked at my own asshole.
I don't like the look of it.
I don't like the way it looks back at me. That's my problem. You know, it was weird. I was eating a piece of turkey jerky the other day that looked just like an asshole, like a dried out asshole. And I almost took a picture of it. I was like, nah, this is for human consumption only. I can't make this a visual because no one's gonna eat turkey jerky after that because it literally looked just like an asshole, like a dried up leathery asshole.
Here's the thing, Cory. I think you've given some great examples of what you could do privately in the confines of your own home. But what can you do to actually make it more of a group activity? What do you do with your friends and family and beloved?
Well, how about we get into that after we take a break?
Oh, I love the idea.
And I'll get
of
into
that.
the last few that I have, and then we'll
Sounds
discuss
great.
group activities.
Sounds great.
So let's take a quick break. We'll be back at you guys in just a minute. Hang tight.
We got to wipe this down with Lysol.
Yeah, for sure.
All of this.
We're back, and our whistles are clean,
We sure are, Cory.
which is great. We'll get into the group activity stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Let's finish out the last three.
Why was I thinking we were on 10?
I don't because I was skipping around.
Oh.
Yeah, I was skipping around a little bit. But this will be essentially number 8 in the list that we've gone through so far, and that is use your remote as a gun. John Wick style and clear out your house of bad guys.
sounds fun.
I've done this before. This is like not a supposed to be funny thing. Like I've literally done this before. I've done it with real guns though.
Oh.
I'm saying use your remote because if you have children or you don't have firearms to which you can clear out your house like Blackwater style.
Do some blanks.
You could do, yeah.
Like
why
in
not?
the movie.
Why not? You know what? This is a time to take a risk.
some blanks.
This is definitely a time to take a risk. Yeah, clear out your house, dude. It's actually a very fun activity. I have many firearms in my home. A lot of them have cool little lasers on them. Some have tack lights. Some have grenade launchers. You know, shoot off a fucking pump of gas in your house. Let your fucking dogs freak out as you're clearing the home. You could totally do that. It's actually a pretty fun activity. You shut the lights off and literally you set up some targets and shit. You have a fucking blast. You could also do it with Nerf guns. So I've got a Nerf gun here that I use. I used it for when Kale came over on Christmas. Haven't used it since, but I could clear the house with Nerf guns.
Yeah.
You could really use anything.
I've done that with Nerf guns, and then you act like your dog is a werewolf, and then you shoot the werewolf with silver bullets.
Yeah. It's fun activities, especially if you have a house like mine that's built like a maze where there's all kinds of weird doors and there's 3 levels and you can kind of like, you could move around and there's plenty of space. It's really a fun activity, especially if you need to burn like an hour. It's a good thing you could do.
Yeah.
Dress up like a girl, cook a pound of bacon, and let the grease splatter off your naked body. Now, this is something I have done.
That's dangerous.
And what I will say is yeah, I'm into some weird shit. But I'm telling you, it makes you feel alive. You'll love the feeling. Oh. And bonus, you get bacon at the end of it. It's a fucking win-win. Really, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Okay, so I haven't dressed up like a girl, but I have been naked cooking bacon, and the grease did splatter on me, and it was an awful feeling.
Would you be surprised if I told you I have dressed up like a girl?
No, I know you've dressed up like a girl. I've dressed up like a girl. I have not done the two activities together.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's fair.
Actually, thinking about it, this is an opportune time to do the photo shoot we talked about.
Oh, yeah, totally. Give you something to spank bank.
That's true. The last one on my list is my favorite, and that's just take some time to sue people.
Yes.
If you have grievances towards anybody, you can sue anybody for no reason. There's a guy that holds the Guinness World Book of Records for suing people. If you're bored, file a fucking lawsuit. I'm about to file one against a company right now for legitimate reasons. We'll see what happens. Depends on how much they try to fuck me over. But you can always file a lawsuit. This is a good time to do some research, to file some grievances, and fucking get out there and get your money.
Yeah. I think it's a great way to just relieve stress.
It's a great way. I'll tell you what.
And set up early retirement.
It's a great way to relieve stress. So those are the 10 I have. Chris, what are the group activities that you came up with?
Well, here's the thing. You have some great ideas for some self activities, introspectively, you've got a lot of good introspective ideas. Right? Focus on yourself.
These are alone activities.
But what about your friends and family that are sitting in the living room when you're doing all these things? They're going to feel left out. So I've got a short list of things you can do with your friends and family inside your quarantine zone. Why don't you play some COVID-19 tag? Perhaps one person could start off infected.
And everybody cough on everyone else?
Everybody else runs around trying to avoid, like, ah! And if you get coughed on, now they're infected. And basically, now there's 2 taggers. And now you can run around the whole place. And then the last person remaining after 10 minutes, or anybody remaining after 10 minutes, if you didn't get coughed on, you win.
I think it'd be interesting that you must apply dye inside your mouth.
Like blood, like fake blood.
So you know that it's splattered on people. You would see people running around with literally just blood on their face.
The other thing is, here's the next idea.
I like that.
A lot of people are spending their time avoiding this pandemic.
Right.
Avoiding reading the news.
Are you saying just tackle it head on?
I say embrace it. Embody it. Why don't you spend, if you're a Netflixaholic or a streamer, why don't you spend the next 3 weeks watching nothing but pandemic movies? 28 days later.
A lot of people have done that.
Outbreak. whatever the movie may be.
12 Monkeys, as I've just been familiarized with.
But what's important here is not only is it a good alternative to your local news or national news broadcast stations, but you might learn a little something about how to prevent pandemic disease.
That's true.
Learn something from Dennis Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin
but yeah.
Hoffman.
I will say this. There's something to those movies because as I was watching Outbreak, I was like, holy shit, they figured it out in 1994.
That's what I'm saying.
And we haven't been able to figure it out in 2020.
That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of fucked up when you think about it. You go, how did Dustin Hoffman and Kevin Spacey and Rene Russo, this fucking trio of doctors, figure this shit out 25 years ago, and here we are going, what do we do?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Cory. And the last
That's
one
a great activity.
The last one I have for you guys is a new take I have. I want you to stand in the mirror with your family.
If you say look at each other's buttholes,
no,
I'm out.
I want you to look at the mirror and all in unison, I want you to say this name 3 times. Miley virus. Miley virus. Miley virus.
Miley virus.
And
I think you said it 4 times.
That's true. I'm just making sure I got that third one really sealed in. And if she appears, she may kill you with a wrecking ball. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be crazy.
Because this virus.
The Miley virus. God, you're playing on words. I love it. That's good. Those are great. I think those are great group activities.
Just try them out.
Fun with the family.
Try them out. If they don't work for you, that's fine. I'm just giving you some suggestions.
Yeah, giving you some options. Here's what our collective friends of the show said. A buddy of ours, Josh Long, said hashtag butt stuff.
Yeah.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. There's a guy I play hockey with that has, I think it's Butt Stuff Sunday or Butt Place, something like that him and his wife apparently partake in every Sunday. Still not sure if it's real, but I'd like to think it is. I don't even know how'd get there, JWS.
How did I get there?
How to get there. I'm going to go with Southern or incest. Both.
Yeah.
Maybe based on the name. Pants off, dance off. Not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. So it's something that you can do in seclusion, something you could do with your wife. I'd suggest maybe not doing that with your kids around. Social services probably going to frown upon that a little bit, but I like the idea. Joseph Bonzel, who is a guy that I fucking love Joe. He's great. He's a contractor who did all this work. He's fucking fantastic. Also a cool ass dude. Said, play Who's in My Mouth.
Yeah.
Game I've never played, but I think it's pretty interesting.
It's a little bit of a telltale if it's just you and your significant other.
Yeah, that's true. But there's more people,
bring your kids into the game.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Bring your dog into the game.
Oh boy. Our buddy Dave says, and I love this one. I'm all for this. Let's stand outside your dad's house and play. Let's play really loud bomb sirens. He's gonna shit,
dude. He totally would.
It's actually not a terrible idea. I think pranks are appropriate for this
time.
The
virus has gone audible.
Our buddy at My Cigar Pack, Alexander, I like this idea because it's very practical. You can do it. It's not really jokey. It's a pitch in $10, winner takes all. It's just guess the amount of rice, grains, or beans inside of a jar, which is what we talked about earlier, specifically with cigars. It's a way to engage people. I like the idea of it. I would definitely want to do it around the number of cigars currently in my humidor, which I think I may actually put something out this week. It's like, because here's the thing, I don't know how many I have, but I'm willing to find out just so we could do something fun. Here's another one. I like this one. Mike in LA says group video happy hour, which I actually participated again with my work yesterday. I wouldn't actually mind doing something like this for the podcast. I think it would be kind of cool. We talked about doing maybe an Instagram live, but there's, some of that gets weird. So you gotta really make it very intentional, but I like the idea of that. And they really work. It creates a connectedness to people in the community, which is awesome.
Yeah, totally.
Josh Huss says, shoot squirrels from the recliner in your living room. I'm going to assume that Josh has been doing this as of recent because it's ultra specific.
Ultra specific.
It's not something that I really don't have good range from the recliner in my living room. I could probably prop out the window. Also, don't really have a BB gun anymore. He says shoot squirrels. I've got plenty of firearms, but it's illegal in the city that I live in to pop off anything in your backyard. You will get arrested for it. So maybe if I had a pellet gun, I probably would. Honestly, it's weird. When I was younger, I used my pellet gun for very specific bird hunting. And I'm different than I was then. You know, I don't shoot animals for pleasure anymore. I would shoot them for food. Now, if we were rationing food and I needed if there was a goddamn pigeon flying in the backyard, pigeon's dinner. If there's a squirrel in the backyard, squirrel's dinner.
Yeah.
But if it's not for survival reasons, I'm likely out on that one. Jamie Lutton says, back to being a kid, play knee hockey. And I love this
awesome.
idea. This actually sounds like a very great idea. If you could bring together a group of non-infected folks and play some knee hockey, I feel like that would be a blast.
Yeah, I like that.
Samuel Lee, go catch some turtles and then have them race. Very weird. Strange idea.
That'll take 3 weeks.
But what I was thinking about is there's actually a plethora of turtles around my neighborhood.
Yeah,
I see turtles walking in the street
snappers.
all the time. They're fucking huge. A turtle battle would be kind of cool because you know what it's like? You know what I feel like a turtle battle would be like? I think it would be like those what was that show where people built the robots that like slammed onto each other? BattleBots?
Yeah.
Turtles would be like that because they have armor, but then they have the long extended necks where they could get each other. Turtles are basically living battle bots.
Yeah.
So it's actually not a terrible idea.
I would take all the turtles. I'd get 4 of them. I'd name them Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, and Michelangelo.
Spray paint one orange, one red.
And I'd have them, and then I'd get Master Splinter, and then I'd put them into a box.
Or you get just a giant sewer rat.
Yeah, I'll put them into a box, and then I'd throw them into a shredder.
Jesus Christ.
And see if they win then.
Huh. Yeah.
Against the shredder.
That'd be interesting.
I guarantee those turtles loses.
What is a shredder?
You know, it could be a paper shredder. You just feed a turtle one by one.
Jesus
See if you
Christ.
can take on the shredder.
I feel like the turtles would end up winning. The first turtle, not so much, but the second turtle I think is safe.
Splinter sure as fuck wouldn't live.
No, definitely not. Let's do this. Let's take another quick break. Let's get out of this, and we'll get into our upcoming review. And hang tight, everybody. We'll be back to you in just a minute. All right, and we're back. We got a review for you guys today. I will put it this way. This is something that it's not a cigar we would typically review. Not a brand that we would typically review. Chris and I feel it necessary sometimes to challenge ourselves to new things, new ideas. We want to be open about and suggested. We don't want to just keep smoking the things that we feel people want us to smoke. We want to smoke everything. We want to try everything. We want to sample everything. We want to understand everything on the marketplace. And even though I was insanely reluctant to do this, here we are.
Well, we've been living in Mount Olympus of cigars for a long time, Cory. Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to travel beneath the clouds. You got to go where the shit lives. You know?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call this shit, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Like you got to go where fucked up humanity is.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where we're at today.
That's kind of where we're at today. So what are we reviewing today? We're reviewing none other than what would be considered the second edition of the Rocky Patel A.L.R. Well, what does A.L.R. mean? It means ass-licking retards. That's not what it means. And can you even use the R word anymore?
No.
Oh, you use the R word. Not allowed to use the R word. So it actually means aged, limited, and rare, which seems kind of redundant, but I get it.
When I first saw the RP on the band, I thought it was standing for like role playing.
Yeah.
You know?
Role playing A.L.R. RP A.L.R. That sounds like a role playing thing.
I know.
That's weird. Yeah, it for sure does. That's actually, now that you mention it, it's kind of strange that it really does have that kind of connotation. There's just too many There's too many abbreviations for stuff.
Yeah. Man.
This is the second edition, Rocky Patel, A.L.R. And before we get into it, Chris, how do we break these bad boys down?
Well, what's funny is when I thought it was role playing, I actually called up a buddy of mine, Fizzle Shanks. He's a goblin, and he actually runs.
What's sad is like I feel like you've played either an online or in-person role-playing game where that was someone's name.
Yeah. So Fizzle Shank, he's actually a goblin that runs a store called the Aged.Limited.Rare Emporium. And I wanted to have him come in if you wanted to, like, you know.
Each cigar review starts with a total of 60 possible points and is broken down into 3 main categories. 10 points for construction, 20 for burn, and 30 for flavor. We then deduct points for less than optimal construction, burn, and flavor and see if the cigar is worth the price for a possible 1% bonus or deduction. Then finally, we average out your individual scores, giving you guys their total cigar rating out of 60.
I could
Thanks, Fizzle Shanks.
visibly see your blood pressure rising as you were reading that. It looked, dude, the veins in your neck were insane.
That wasn't me. That was Fizzle Shanks.
Fizzle Shanks, yeah, whatever. You do actually kind of look like a golem a little bit.
A goblin? He's a goblin.
Yeah, well, you look like both, a goblin and a golem. That was pretty good. I actually really like that. That was very enjoyable.
Yeah. Thanks, Fizzle
Um,
Shanks.
Yeah, definitely a great job. So this is pretty simple in terms of components. So it's Mexican San Andreas wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler combination. We smoked this in a Robusto as a 5.5 by 52, which is it's actually one of my favorite Vitolas. Actually, it was like a 5.5 by 50, and we're splitting hairs right now in terms of like what would be conducive and what's not for smoking. And there's dogs going crazy right now, of course. Hi, buddy. I like this Vitola. 5.5 by 52 seems to be a decent Vitola.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, and we always talk about it, is like, what do we get in terms of value? This comes at a hefty price point, especially for something that's not an overly large Vitola, but I like the size of it. It comes in at a $13 price point. So it does come with a price tag. So just be conscious and cognizant as we go through this review and we start to tell you about the good and the bad of the cigar. You want to compare it, want to relate it to other cigars that you've had in this kind of pricing category. Because I would say that this one I would put at a premium price point, just baseline, knowing nothing else about the cigar. $13 for cigars is what I would consider fairly expensive.
Yeah, man.
So let's get into it. Chris, what did you think about the construction overall on this particular cigar?
If I'm paying $13 for such a little baby girl, it better look and taste and burn as good as it costs. And I got to tell you, it was a really, really immaculate construction for me.
Yeah.
Slightly squishy. Beautiful band. I got to say, this is probably one of the prettiest Rocky Patels I've ever seen. I don't care for the foot band. You pull that bitch off.
Yeah, I think sucks.
But that gold band that's around that cigar
Beautiful.
is fucking gorgeous.
You know what? It's weird. It's like the color, like the Pantone of it to me was like a combination of traditional gold and rose gold.
Yeah.
So weird. Like it was one of the most beautiful like gold color, and I'm a huge gold fan, like massively huge gold fan.
Yeah.
I thought the color on it was fucking awesome. The band itself was great. I do agree with you about the foot band. Pissed me off. Don't like it on there. Remove it. The cigar itself was beautiful. Dark, rich color. Mine was made perfect. It was weird because it kind of had that quasi box press feel to it where it was like more oval shaped. And I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if it's because of the way it's rested in the boxes. I don't know that it's because maybe it was a little bit humidified and kind of being packed together helped shape the cigar more than just kind of this traditional cylindrical shape. But it did have kind of a box press feel to it, but I think that's unintentional. I didn't hate it. It didn't compromise anything in terms of the quality of construction, but it's just kind of something that I noticed. But the cigar itself is fucking beautiful. I love that dark, rich color. And even, so I've been paying attention a lot more to like the cap structure on cigars, the cap structure on this. And this really shows like what kind of time and attention is put in a cigar. You have a cigar like this, it's at a $13 price point. For Rocky Patel is inflated by it. Any other Rocky Patel I had, I would look at this just categorically and say, okay, this is a hefty price point. But you look for those things like perfection and cap structure. You look for perfection in the product used, right? Like that's what you want and expect at a $13 price point. And that's pretty much exactly what this gives you.
It looks like a $13 stick.
It very much does. Very much does. I love that band. Really love it.
Yeah.
Get rid of the foot band, but the band up towards the top of the head, pretty fucking badass.
Pretty badass. I felt like royalty, bro.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. What do you think about the burn?
I thought the burn was just as good as the construction. A good even burn right from the get-go. You toast that foot, take a couple puffs. You got a nice even ring around there. As you draw from this baby, it's even all the way down. 0 runs on this cigar. It was a good 1-2 puffer.
Yeah.
1-2 puffer. You take a hit in. You can literally get away with one good hit. But, if you want a full mouthful of smoke, take another little puff off of that and then shoot it out.
Right.
And then watch everybody run from you as they watch coronavirus fly at their faces.
Yeah, that's true.
But that said, I thought it burned exceptionally well. It was a nice resistance from the draw. 5-minute hold test, no fucking issues. It just kept lit. I was watching. I think I was watching Django Unchained.
Oh, nice. Appropriate.
Yeah, and it was, dude. I just had no issues whatsoever with burn.
Which is
0.
Is exactly what you want in a cigar. Those
Yeah.
two things coupled together in terms of like when we talk about the importance of the construction and how that curtails into a wonderful burn. There's a reason one kind of precedes the other, right? You have wonderful construction and quality and production in a cigar typically segues into a really nice burn experience, which is exactly what you get with this cigar. And it's exactly what I got with this cigar. I'm not shouting from the rooftops. It was like the most excellent burn experience I've ever had. It was great. Nice. So the 3 things that I really pay attention to, and also in consideration of the hold test, 3 things I really pay attention to are the consistency of the cigar, the draw of the cigar, and just how easy the experience is overall. Like the less challenges, right, that you experience in a burn. So it looked like the resistance of the draw was perfect. It was great. The consistency of the cigar was probably, perhaps for me, the most notable thing. Mm-hmm. The burn of the cigar, the lines, just the consistency overall was top notch, which is something that, no offense to Rocky Patel, I typically don't get in their cigars. Like any cigar that you buy from Rocky Patel that kind of hits in that $7 to $9 range, to me is usually pretty substandard in both construction and burn. But this cigar in particular, at that $13 price range, which I'm saying is elevated in comparison to most Rocky Patels, you're knocking out of the park so far. When I think of a $13 cigar, the characteristics of which I've gotten in this one, they hit that mark. That's something that I can say, hey, this is worth $13 at this particular point in time, minus the flavor, because of these things that you've done right.
Yeah, man.
Which is not typical of my experience with Rocky Patel cigars. So arguably the most important category that we talk about, Chris, what do you think about the flavor?
Great construction, great burn. It's like we are in Mount Olympus still. I thought we were going to be down in the sewers with all the rats, But the flavor, though, that could change everything. I got to be real with you. Real smooth from the get-go. This cigar kind of comes off slightly bitter and creamy, but there's like this just very subtle spice component to it throughout. Not a whole lot of change-ups on this cigar, I'll say this. But here's what I thought was interesting about it. While those flavors are things that I might typically get from most cigars of this construction and blend, weirdly enough, I don't know if the name put a little notion into my head to like trick me, like mind manipulation, something like that. But I feel like there was an X factor in that flavor and I could not fucking put my finger on it. It was there consistently. I don't know if it was, I'm pretty sure it was a filler, but there was something about it that did make it stand out across the board from any blend that kind of shares similar profiles. And I was like, wow, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty dang good. And it's a very consistent flavor. It does not change up really at all. It gets a little more bitter towards the end. That's about it. But really good, balanced flavor. And it was smooth. It was smooth.
Very smooth.
What do you think, bro?
I thought, I put it this way, I was surprised in a good way. Traditionally, I'm not going to a humidor and seeking out Rocky Patel cigars literally ever. quite literally ever.
Quite literally.
But this is one where Chris said, hey, I'm smoking this. I'm like, cool. I'll be at the lounge a little bit. I'll pick one up. Let's give this guy a whirl. And for me, I was expecting to be disappointed, and I wasn't disappointed, which disappoints me. I thought the cigar was pretty good. And here's one of the reasons that I think I personally liked it. I don't think this cigar is for everybody, and this is why I'm going to say that. For me, I typically enjoy and flock towards cigars that have more of a bitter profile. I'm a very bitter, I like bitterness, which actually really says something about my mentality as well and my emotional state of mind.
That's true.
You can look that shit up.
You can tell a lot by a person by what coffee they drink.
It's very true. So I like things that are bitter. I like things that are savory. And this particular cigar gives you that all the way through. Chris, I agree with you in terms of like, it's pretty static in terms of flavor. It's not very dynamic. It's not insanely complex, but what you get is really good. And it's good for me. This is my type of cigar in terms of flavor profile. It doesn't, even with that particular flavor, also agree with you that it doesn't really change up a whole lot. Like it doesn't amplify, it doesn't really decrease at any point in the cigar. It's very consistent all the way through, and you get it from the beginning. There is literally 0 hints of spice and pepperiness in the cigar. What you get from the start is literally what you finish with.
Yeah.
Which, and to me, is a very enjoyable experience. If you're somebody who likes a lot of dynamic in your cigars, you love the change up, you love a bit of complexity, you're probably not going to like this cigar, especially if you don't like bitter, savory type cigars. If you like something that's a little bit more spicy or even something that has a sweeter and creamier component to it, that's not this cigar. This to me, and I think I already articulated this to you when we were at the lounge, was it reminds me of the Me Too, but not as bright, not as full flavored. I like the Me Too better because it gives me more of those full kind of like full saturation of flavors, where this one seems to be a little tame and a little bit more muted, but it's good. The flavors are great. I like it. You definitely get what you should get from the Mexican San Andreas wrapper. I will put it that way.
Yeah.
I like it. It's not too intense. It's just, I think they kind of, it's just like hitting a ball right down the fairway. You're not blasting it to the green. You're not out of bounds either. It's just a nice straight shot down the fairway. And I think Rocky Patel did a really good job with the cigar, even with a little bit of an inflated price point. I thought it was very enjoyable.
Very sophisticated flavor.
Yeah, it's weird too, and it's like one that seems kind of thoughtful. Again, a lot of other Rocky Patels I go, okay, well, and this is my criticism of some of these manufacturers, and we mentioned it with CAO when we did the brand episode a few episodes back. We mentioned specifically about CAO. It's like, okay, if you're a brand, a lot of times you are tasked with, okay, there's so many releases we have to have in a year, and then a lot of times you're creating the marketing before you're creating the blend, as opposed to creating the blend and then marketing the blend, right? That is ever apparent in the cigar industry, depending on what manufacturer you are. I always thought that about Rocky Patel. It's like, we're going to put this thing, the intentionality is I want to create marketing around something, then I'm going to figure out the blend. To me, they may have done that in this instance, but they also coupled it with a really good blend. So I'm not as disappointed maybe in that effort. I thought this was actually a really good cigar, and whoever blended it did a great job. I thought it was pretty damn good.
I agree.
It's not anything that's going to blow your socks off. I'll put it that way. Like if I really want an intense bitter cigar that's full of flavors, again, I'll go to a Tatuaje Me Too. That's one of my favorite cigars. If I want something that's a little bit more tame, I don't want something that's so full flavored in your face, this is a great alternative for that.
Yeah, I agree.
So what did you think in terms of pricing? This is probably an area where we could argue a little bit.
Yeah, I really like this cigar. It has a slight uniqueness, that X factor piece that I said I couldn't really put my finger on. That was what makes it intriguing to smoke it again.
Sure.
But it's a Robusto, right?
That is true.
It's a Robusto.
But it is a 5.5 by 52 Robusto. So not only are you gaining a half inch from a traditional Robusto, which we could say is a 5 by 50, you're 5.5 by 52. You're kind of splitting the difference of a Taurus, like almost like a Robusto plus.
Yeah. I think this really comes down to whether you believe the Aged.Limited.Rare thing.
Sure.
There's a lot of characteristics about the flavor of this cigar that is similar to other blends. And that's just par for the course in the cigar community. I'm not singling out Rocky Patel like, you're making stuff like everyone else. I'm not saying that at all. We're all
right.
pulling from the same crop, so to speak. There's going to be similar things between different blends and brands and manufacturers. That said, I don't necessarily believe that X factor is enough to skew me towards the thought that $13 is worth it. Even though I like it a lot, the X factor isn't to me so substantial that it could bark a $13 price point at me.
Sure.
Sure.
Amen.
I think the cigar for the size you get is easily worth $11, maybe $12, and that's pushing it for me. So that said, I think it's a little overpriced. Maybe my opinions will change in the future if I have it again, and I could really put my finger on what distinguishes this cigar from everything else to command a $3 increased price point across any other more extended Robustos. Maybe my opinion would change, but right now I'm just struggling with the $13 price point.
Yeah, dare I say the same. I just think in that category, you have some juggernaut cigars that are just so full flavored and part insane flavors that give you a sense of complexity. And again, I said the cigar is good, but is it worth $13? It's hard for me to say that it is. I don't think it is because I think of other cigars that I pay $13 for. And I also think of other cigars I pay $9 or $10 for that I'd argue are a lot better in terms of flavors that offer you complexity. Now, if this cigar imparted some of these bitter flavors that I do quite enjoy, if there was some even subtle change-ups in the cigar, it just create a different dynamic to the cigar overall. If it had a different balance and complexity to it, I'd probably enjoy it even more than I did. And then I could argue that it would be worth $13. But I think because it's so static in nature, and I'm not saying for me personally, but I feel like the represented cigar community, I would say if this isn't your flavor profile, you're going to get bored smoking it. A 5.5 by 52, if this is something that you don't enjoy and it doesn't give you again, a sense of complexity where it's introducing other flavors into the cigar, you're likely not going to like this as much. So I'd say community overall, it's hard for me to personally to give it any sort of score for $13. And it would be hard for me to suggest to the collective cigar community that I think this is worth $13 for a cigar for anybody. So I actually ended up giving it a pricing delta.
It is worth it for 13 cigars, though.
Yeah, if you get 13 cigars.
I would trade this thing in a heartbeat for 13 cigars.
Amen. Yeah, I just don't. I think it's a little bit inflated for what you get. If this was in that right at the $10 range, I think you'd be definitely hitting the mark.
It's rare enough for an extra $1 on the 10 for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, get it out of the $9 range, you put it into the $10 range. I think you're cooking with fire then. I think just now, especially because of what's on the market these days, it's hard to say. It's hard for me to look at this cigar and go, okay, $13. What else can I not only buy for $13, but what can I buy for less that I think is dynamically different than this cigar and offers up a little bit more in terms of flavor?
And maybe I'll have to. This is my naivety at this point, but I'd be curious what constitutes Aged.Limited.Rare. I could assume at this point, not really doing a whole lot of research on the history of the blend, that it's probably using several decades old tobacco.
It is. So there is something obviously done in addition from an aging perspective, the types of tobacco used. You're correct. That's why it's named what it's named. But I would say even outside of that, it's kind of like
just because it's old doesn't make it good.
Well, here's the reality. I think other manufacturers who are not calling out Aged.Limited.Rare are using aged tobacco, using limited 100%. Tobacco, and using rare tobacco. That's happens all the time.
Yeah.
So there is a marketing ploy that I think exists here because I'm guarantee you most manufacturers, if I went and asked any one of them and say, are you using aged tobacco? Well, of course. Are you using some rare tobacco? Oh, hell yeah. Are you using a lot of limited release tobacco that you're not going to? Of course we are. Okay, so essentially your cigars are aged, limited, and rare.
Right.
So yeah, right. I mean I think that's the majority of what's being produced and put out into the marketplace. So for me, the marketing piece of it and the $13 inflation because you call it a certain thing. My thing is like, this is where I challenge organizations like Rocky Patel a little bit and saying like, just come out with a good cigar. Let the cigar speak it for itself. I don't need you to call out something age limited or rare. I get why you do it. But if you just come out with a good cigar that's enjoyable, fucking deband. Don't even put a band on it. Just fucking sell it in the marketplace. Say, how do you like this thing?
Dude, it's just like wine, man.
Make a good cigar.
It's like, this is a 1964 Merlot for $3,000. It's yours if you want it. It's like, well, you know what? I can get a Sutter's home that's probably just as fucking good.
Well, probably not though. But
not a Sutter's. But you get my point.
I get your point. Yeah. All right. So what did you rate yours overall?
10 out of 10 on construction, 20 out of 20 on burn, and 26 out of 30 on flavor. I thought this was a great flavor. This is a very good for me. But I feel like it is overpriced, getting a negative 1%. Mine comes in at a 92.3%.
Oh, excellent score. What a score for a Rocky Patel. I feel like a lot of people are going to hate you for that.
That's okay.
But I appreciate you being you and you being honest through this process. No one's going to scout my head over this. I gave it a 10 out of 10 on construction. Absolutely flawless. Perfect construction. 20 out of 20 on the burn. Fucking great. Of course, those two things coupled together, paralleled with one another, just wonderful smoking experience. And I actually gave it a 25 out of 30 on flavor. Thought it was actually pretty good because it's my kind of flavor profile. I love that savoriness. I love that bitterness. It's great. But I did give it a 1-point deduction. I gave it a 1% deduction simply for the fact that I just think that the $13 price point, given the brand, given what it is, and given the lack of complexity to the blend, even though it does impart a good flavor, it doesn't impart great flavors. I give it a negative 1 point, but that still came out to a 90.7. So all things considered, between the two scores, we come out right at a 91.5 for this Rocky Patel Aged Limited Rare cigar.
And that score is probably pretty rare.
Maybe it may be a little rare, but you know what? It's weird because I actually liked I enjoyed the fact that we smoked something that we wouldn't traditionally smoke or put out there.
Yeah.
Like I like when we challenge ourselves to do that more and more. And I know some people and already got some flack for it. Trust me, the messages came flying in. Why are you smoking that? Fucking turd. Like there was a lot of that. And then my response is, well, if we're going to be fair to everybody who produces cigars, this is the route that we've got to go down. And I appreciate the honesty that we bring and the integrity that we bring to our process.
You tribal sons of bitches.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah. You keep smoking the three same
The
cigars.
cigar community's turning into like Democrats versus Republicans.
Yeah. For me, it was one of those things like, if it's good, I
Boutique
just don't
versus
care.
mass produced.
Yeah, no shit. One still outweighs the other quite.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very one-sided. But we appreciate everybody listening. We got a lot of stuff to do today. Hopefully have a review upcoming this week that we'll post out there. Keep watching the videos. YouTube is up. I understand these videos are really long. Your attention span's very short. But we do have the videos up on YouTube where you can actually watch the full podcast. And of course you can listen to it on a myriad of fucking resources in terms of the podcast itself. Apple Music, Spotify, Google, whatever their fucking thing is now. Podbean, Podcast, Cast Pods, Pod Dump, Dump Pods.
Yeah, they're all
whatever
out
they
there.
are. Pump and Dump Pods.
Virus pods.
Literally, you know what? A lot of people go, where can I listen to your podcast? And I go, fucking Google it.
It's the first.
Jesus
it's
fucking
like literally
Christ.
the first result.
Oh my God. Fucking Google it.
And if you, hopefully,
Google it.
hopefully you can spell hot ticket.
Yeah, it's fucking right there. It literally, we take up, if you type in Hot Ticket Podcast, we take up 3 fucking pages of where you can listen to the podcast. So if I get another fucking message that says, where can I find your podcast? I'm going to hunt you fucking down in this turmoil, treacherous environment, and I'm going to smack you in the fucking teeth. Google that shit. All right, that's all I got. I'm getting hot. I'm sweating.
Before we go, that lens is kind of like a mirror. Do you want to try it?
Do we have time?
Yeah. I'll say it on 3. Miley. The name?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ready?
Miley virus. Miley virus. Miley virus. Dude, what if that dirty bitch showed up at my front door? Came in like a wrecking ball. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll be back at you next week with episode 143. See you guys.
See ya.